What's going on, guys? Welcome into FanDuel Sports Network Live. I am Russell Dorsey. We'll be joined by my main man, Ben Verlander, here in a second. But want to let you know, watching your local team is easier with FanDuel Sports Network. If we're part of your cable or satellite package, you're good to go. Just check your TV lineup. Prefer to stream, use your TV provider login on the FanDuel Sports Network app. No cable, no problem. Subscribe through the app with monthly, seasonal, or annual plans. You can even stream your team on Prime Video with an add-on subscription. Availability varies by region. Don't miss a pitch. Check getmyhometeams.com now to see if FanDuel Sports Network is in your area. As I welcome in my guy, Ben Verlander. Ben, what is going on, my man? We've made it through opening weekend. How are we feeling today?
Russ, what an opening weekend, by the way. I can't imagine a weekend with much more going on than what we got. We're doing great, man. Another great slate of baseball tonight. Pumped up to talk about it. Pumped to be here with you. Really excited, man.
I am excited as well. A lot of great baseball, as you mentioned, but a lot going on here in baseball today. So let's get right into the biggest story of the day. Braves outfielder Jurickson Profar has been suspended for 80 games for violating MLB's PED policy. Now, Ben, this is a guy that had a career year last year, an 839 OPS, was an all-star in his first year with the San Diego Padres, and signed a 3-year, $42 million deal this winter. This is big news, man. Like, this is a guy that the Braves expected to be a mainstay in their lineup, had shown that he could do a lot of different things for you, and now he won't be available for the Braves until the end of June. What's your reaction to this, man?
Yeah, it's just a little bit of shock. The Braves didn't do a lot this offseason. You lose Max Fried, and you just kind of bank on getting a Ronald Acuna Jr. back and getting Spencer Strider back. And next thing you know, late in the offseason, they do sign Profar, a guy that I really like a lot. Came out last year with a bit of a chip on his shoulder with the Will Smith situation and Mr. Irrelevant. And then he comes out with this deal, $12 million this year in 2025, and it's just not it's not what you need for the Atlanta Braves. Just absolutely brutal. I struggle with it, Russ. I struggle to think he got paid, and now he goes out there and gets this suspension, and now he's ineligible for the postseason. So I know it's 80 games, but he can come back later in the year, but he's not going to be able to play in the postseason, and that's going to be a massive blow for the Braves. A big reason why I like this pickup is because it really lengthened their lineup. Now they're in trouble, man. I don't know what your thoughts are. I know this was all just happening. We were reading through his apology right before we went live, and he basically said, I didn't knowingly take something, but I apologize. I don't know, but this is a big blow for the Atlanta Braves.
I'm with you, man. And I think if you're Alex Anthopoulos, you're really disappointed because this was a guy that you expected to kind of lengthen that lineup for you. And, with all the other things that you had going on, Ronald working his way back from injury, and we're going to get in the Braves a little bit later on in the show, got swept out of San Diego. It could not have been a worse start for the Atlanta Braves, but we're going to get to Atlanta a little bit later on. The other big story in Major League Baseball from opening weekend, torpedo bets. But let's get to the other headlines around the game. Tyler O'Neill, 6 consecutive opening day with a homer, extends his MLB record. Aaron Judge and the Yankees went absolutely bonkers in the Bronx. Rafael Devers has not had a great start for the Boston Red Sox, being their primary designated hitter. And the San Diego Padres had a really solid weekend against the Atlanta Braves. Their bullpen was really good. That's something that they've been able to do well for the last couple of years, and they show that they are ready to have another strong season in the NL West. But maybe the biggest story, Ben, of the last couple of days, let's go to the Bronx, where we find torpedo bats, the new style of bats that the New York Yankees have been using as a club. Now, I want to put this out there for everybody that's been seeing these bats. It's not just a Yankees bat. Like, this is not the Yankees that are the only team in Major League Baseball using it. As you've seen over the last couple of days, you got players from around Major League Baseball that are starting to use these bats. And I can understand why people are asking questions, because the Yankees went off against the Milwaukee Brewers, scoring 36 runs. They hit 15 homers, Ben, an MLB record for the first 3 games of a season. So some guys that are using the bats, obviously Jazz Chisholm that you see there, Austin Wells, Anthony Volpe, Cody Bellinger, Paul Goldschmidt, actually the veteran, using that bat. I think something for me, Ben, that when I'm watching, what's been going on with Major League Baseball with these bats for fans out there, guys are always adjusting. You're a guy that stepped into the box when you were playing professionally, and hitters are always looking for something, right? What's the thing that's going to make me feel comfortable in the box? And the Yankees seem to have found something that works for them.
Well, for me, Russ, I see this bat, and your first thought is, well, that looks weird, right? Well, to me, this is kind of a big old like nothing in my mind, and we'll see over time how much of a difference it makes. But let's look at it from a hitter's perspective. If I played pro ball for 5 years, and all I would constantly think about is how is the pitcher going to pitch me, and they're thinking in return, how can I attack Ben? And whatever that answer is, let's say my weakness was X, Y, and Z, and for me, it's A, B, C, D through Z, right? That's why I'm here now talking about the game instead of still hitting. But they are able to exploit my weakness as a pitcher and constantly go back there. And as a hitter, I just have to adjust. And there's really nothing I can do about it except for specifically adjusting to what they're doing. So when it comes to these bats, it feels like a bit of a way to get a little bit of the power back. And I'm not talking power in terms of hitting home runs. I'm talking power of like being able to dive into the analytics of myself. Where am I making contact on the bat? And that's what this bat is doing. The Yankees have a guy, an MIT genius by all accounts, on staff that said, let's adjust the barrel so that the most wood is where you're making the most contact. And they're going to analytics to do that, Russ. They're going to analytics for Anthony Volpe and Jazz Chisholm and all those guys you just mentioned and said, hey, you're actually making contact a couple centimeters below where your bat is the thickest. Why don't we adjust that? I don't have a problem with that. The Major League Baseball bat has essentially looked the same since Babe Ruth used it. Why? We have so much advanced analytics now to give us so many numbers. Let's use that. I don't care if it looks weird. let's use it to our advantage. I don't have a problem with it, Russ, and I don't think anybody should.
Yeah, and I think when a lot of these bat companies are coming out and saying, "Hey, this is something that we started doing a little bit ago," and I think something that we've seen over the last couple of years when it comes to changes to the bat, right? We've seen the axe handle, right? We've seen the hockey knob, right? Some guys go no knob on the bat. I am curious to see how hitters adjust to using this bat, because when you do put more wood in that barrel part of the bat, it changes the weight. So a little physics lesson for a hitter, Ben, and tell me if I'm wrong. You're trying to get the barrel through the zone as quickly as possible, but also keep it in the zone as long as possible. And when you have more mass at that part of the bat, it's going to take a little bit of getting used to. So I can understand how a guy like Aaron Judge says, hey man, I had 60 pumps, doing it the way I was doing it. I'm cool.
100%. And that goes to the point that I think we're making. This isn't everybody doing it. And it's also not just the Yankees. But Aaron Judge says, look, I don't need to use it. I think I'm doing just fine. And the record speaks for itself. And in terms of these Yankees players, I think we'll see over time how big of a difference it's going to make. But look, it's, to me, more power to you being able to do this. It's not just the Yankees, but Russ, imagine this. This isn't the first time it's been used, but it's the first time that it's really come to the public's light because it is a newer thing. But imagine a couple years ago when you mentioned all the different knobs, Mookie Betts was really kind of the one with the axe handle bat. Imagine in that first game that he ever used the axe handle bat, he hit 3 homers in that game. We'd be dealing with the same thing. Everybody would say, whoa, whoa, whoa. Why haven't we done this before? This has to be cheating. There's no way this is legal. Well, it was just the right circumstances for the Yankees to be using this bat and them to hit 1 million home runs in the game to cause alarm for everybody. But it's really not that big of a deal for me.
And we don't really have the biggest sample size yet. It's just been a weekend. Also, Milwaukee Brewers haven't been having the best go of it as far as their pitching is concerned. So that might be it as well. But we're just getting started here on FanDuel Sports Network Live. We got the show kicked off talking about the Atlanta Braves. We're actually going to go back to talking about the Braves after we come back from break. Braves have a big series coming up in beautiful LA. First pitch later tonight at 10:10 Eastern. FanDuel Sports Network Live. Back after this.
I love betting on the NBA with FanDuel, especially when I've got the world's greatest basketball mind on my side. What's up, Chuck GPT?
What's up, Chuck IRL?
What do you think about this parlay?
It's great, but why don't you use me for something you really need help with?
What does Charles Barkley really need help with?
Hundreds of results found.
Uh-oh.
Fashion sense, basic math.
What?
Being on time, portion control, conflict resolution, enunciating, free throw percentage.
New customers bet $5 to get $200 in bonus bets if you win. FanDuel, America's #1 sports book.
Eating vegetables.
Deliveries happen.
Hello? We didn't order that.
Are you sure?
This happens.
Socks. No.
That happens.
Hey, get out of there!
Charlie's up to bat in the pinch.
Oh, let's go!
Home happens. Be there with Ring. Learn more at ring.com.
Meet Jonathan Thompson, an international travel writer on a mission to discover the most dynamic adrenaline-fueled destinations on the planet. Tune in to join Jonathan as he explores the world's best adventure cities.
When it comes to making plans, you are the best. What about those barbecues you plan in detail for your family? Or your daughter's first costume party? It was out of this world. The same way you plan each detail for those moments, start planning to protect you and your loved ones from a natural disaster. Sign up for local weather and emergency alerts. Prepare an emergency kit and make a family communications plan. Protecting your family is the best plan you can make.
Sports connect us all. Maybe you play, maybe you coach, maybe you cheer. On the field and off, FanZone is for you. Scan this QR code to join FanZone, the ultimate online forum for sports fans. Tell us what you think about what you see on TV, online, and streaming. Your voice can help shape the future of sportscasting, product creation, website creation, and much more. Join FanZone today.
Network Live. I want to remind you that watching your local team is easier than ever with FanDuel Sports Network. If we're part of your cable package or satellite package, you're good to go. Just check your TV lineup, prefer to stream, use your TV provider login on the FanDuel Sports Network app. No cable, no problem. Subscribe through the app with monthly, seasonal, or annual plans. You can even stream your team on Prime Video with an add-on subscription. Availability varies by region. Don't miss a pitch. Check getmyhometeams.com now to see if FanDuel Sports Network is in your area. As we welcome you back, Russ Dorsey with my man Ben Verlander. Ben, we talked about the Braves having a rough weekend in San Diego, but the Friars had themselves a great weekend, winning 4 straight series. And they had a lot of different things working. The young stud Jackson Merrill having a breakout series to start what was a great rookie campaign for him. Fernando Tatis Jr., superstar with a homer on Friday. And then the big question this year would be, what would the Padres get from their starting pitching? Randy Vasquez, Nick Pivetta, big free agent signing for them, both having really stellar performances. And Ben, I look at this Padres team. I covered the West Coast throughout the postseason, and I was there covering the NLDS, Padres, and Dodgers. And I look at that Padres team. They should have beat the Los Angeles Dodgers. I think they know they should have beat the Los Angeles Dodgers. And now you go into 2025 with all the additions that LA has made. You look at this Padres team, they still have superstars. They still have talent. They have Machado, Tatis, Merrill. You still have Yu Darvish in that rotation. Michael King, turned himself into a stud last year. I still feel like this Padres team, and I know sometimes we forget about them because they're big brother up the coast. This is a good team.
This is a really good team. First off, Russ, I personally don't like the big brother, little brother comparisons. It just hits me deep, I'm
sorry, Ben. I'm sorry. That hit home. That hit home.
I completely agree with you, man. This team, it's easy to remember. It's easy to forget last year. Dodgers go on to win the World Series. They make all these moves, as you said. And then there's talks in the offseason of, oh, my God, there's a super team. Well, wait a second. The Dodgers said themselves, the best team we played in October was the San Diego Padres. They shouldn't have won that series. The Padres had the series in their hands and lost it. And then this offseason, a bit of a more quiet offseason for them until the end. They made a couple pickups. One of them I really liked, in Nick Pivetta, who we just saw throw 7 scoreless innings. So for me, this series, it does say a lot more about how good I think the Padres are, then I don't care that the Braves are 0-4. The Braves have bigger issues to worry about right now, which we mentioned. But this team now, if you're going to get this starting pitching depth, which we just talked about with Pivetta being a 4, all of a sudden you look and say, okay, this rotation is way deeper than we thought. We got King, Cease at the top. Darvish is dealing with an injury, but then we can go to, Pivetta as a 4 guy. Next thing you know, rotation's really good. Back into the bullpen's fantastic. Estrada, Suarez down there. Offense is, dare I say, an elite offense in the game. Luis Ariz can't buy a hit yet, and they're still hitting really well as a team. So next thing you know, you say, okay, are they as good as the Dodgers? Probably not. Are they one of the best teams in the game of baseball? Yeah, and I think we just forgot that maybe because they're in the same division as you mentioned. But this team is elite and a top 5 team in the game of baseball right now.
They had a monster second half, and you're right. That was a team that should have beat the Dodgers in the postseason. The National League is going to be pretty tough because I look at the San Diego Padres and say they have as good of a chance to be a playoff team as the Phillies and the Mets and the Chicago Cubs or the Cincinnati Reds. And it's going to be a fight to see which one of these teams ends up where in terms of making it to the postseason. But the team that they beat up on, the Atlanta Braves, we talked about them at the top of the show. They had a lot of things that didn't go their way, particularly with their offense. Now, starting pitching was pretty good. Cristel, Reynaldo Lopez, both of those guys did fine. A.J. Smith-Shawver was also good. Spencer Schwellenbach. But it was the offense, Ben. And the offense is what we've come to know the Atlanta Braves to do best, better than anybody. Want to give you some numbers here. Matt Olson, Ozuna, Michael Harris II, Austin Riley, a combined 7 for 50 with 2 extra base hits. Now, that's not necessarily gonna get it done. That's a 140 batting average for all you mathematicians out there. It's early, Ben. You know it. I know it. But now, with no Jurickson Profar for the foreseeable future, you're probably not going to have Ronald Acuna Jr. back until probably late April, early May. Sean Murphy coming back from injury. Marcell Ozuna dealing with some things. How are you feeling about the Atlanta Braves as we open the season? Because no, you can't lose a season in April, but you could put yourself in a little bit of a deficit where it's harder to make up later in the season.
Look, I'm in full disclosure. I picked the Atlanta Braves to win the World Series this year. And let me tell you that at this point, it's not even April. Okay, I didn't pick the Atlanta Braves to win the World Series because I thought they were going to get out to a 4-0 start against the San Diego Padres. I didn't pick the Atlanta Braves to win the World Series because I thought Jurickson Profar was going to be the key to victory. I did pick the Atlanta Braves to win the World Series because of what they have coming. And it's not coming tomorrow. It's not coming in a week. But in about a month, we're going to see an Atlanta Braves team with Spencer Strider back out on the mound, with Ronald Acuna Jr. back out in the outfield, with Sean Murphy back behind the plate. And next thing you know, you have a Cy Young type of pitcher. You have an MVP player in the outfield. You have a great catcher that hasn't necessarily been fantastic with the Braves since he's come over from the A's, but a good catcher. You're getting all these reinforcements back. So I'm a believer in the Braves because of these guys coming back, because of the offense that I do believe in. All of those guys you said, and you put the math together for us, it was either 130 or 140 team batting average between those guys. I don't care. Russ, we know those guys are going to hit. I don't worry about Austin Riley hitting. I don't worry about Michael Harris. I don't worry about Ozuna. I don't worry about Matt Olson. Those guys are going to hit. They ran into a really good pitching team in the San Diego Padres. It's early in the year. You're trying to get your timing down. I'm truly not worried about the Braves. Jurickson Profar does hurt. That is a big loss for me. It does stink to see that, but I'm not worried about this team. They're going to hit. The reinforcements are on the way. And then come playoff time, give me a team that can run out Spencer Strider and Chris Sale in a 5-game series. I will take that 10 times out of 10.
1,000%. Being healthy in September and October, way more important than health early in April. And, the Braves coming off a tough series in San Diego. It's a little bit tougher now going out to the West Coast to face the World Series champion Los Angeles Dodgers. And the matchups for you, Grant Holmes going up against Tyler Glasnow, Chris Sale and Dustin May, and then Reynaldo Lopez and Blake Snell. And, this Dodgers team, we look at them on paper and you see the star power from Shohei Ohtani to Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman. You bring in Blake Snell, a 2-time Cy Young winner. You have Yoshinobu Yamamoto. You go and add Roki Sasaki. Ben, this team is stacked, and if they stay healthy, your mind just goes to the place of 116 wins. Do you think they do it?
You know, it's interesting, Russ. We're sitting here with the Dodgers being 5-0, and I've watched every one of their games so far, and I can genuinely say I don't think the Dodgers have played all that well. And we're sitting here and they're 5-0, and it does beg the question, can they break the record? And, you know, like, it's a long shot, but it'd be silly to sit here right now and say absolutely not. There's certainly a chance, probably the best chance we've seen since the Mariners did that in 01. So I look at this team, and what I say by they're not playing their best baseball, because sure, Mookie Betts has had a fantastic game at points. Shohei Ohtani, fantastic, and some good starts here and there. But they haven't come close to putting it all together. We saw Sasaki start the other night, going an inning and 2/3. Blake Snell wasn't yet Blake Snell Cy Young Award winner form. They haven't yet gotten like that nasty start put together with Shohei, Mookie, and Freddie all hitting. And the point is, it doesn't matter. The depth is so good for this team that there's not many teams that you can look at and say, if these guys don't perform, our best pitcher and our best position player, we're going to be in trouble. For example, if the Astros are playing a game and Framber has a bad start and Yordan Alvarez doesn't hit well, I would say 8 times out of 10 you're going to lose. Well, with the Dodgers, if, let's say, Freddie Freeman doesn't have a good game, Shohei could hit 3 homers. Mookie Betts and Shohei could combine for 4, and they could get a good start on the mound. It doesn't matter where it comes from, and their depth is what separates them from everybody else. And you really see that over the course of 162. Russ, that's why I talked about the Braves. That's why I believe the Braves can beat them in a 5-game series. But over the course of 162, the depth is what matters the most to me, and they're able to answer every question mark with like multiple extra guys wherever you look.
Here's the thing, Ben. I'm with you. They have a lot of depth. This is where I would push back. I look at their lineup, studs in there. I'm not even worried about it once we get to October. I look at that rotation. I say, all right, after Blake Snell and Yoshinobu Yamamoto, who I think is going to have a really monster year in the second year in the big leagues after coming over from Japan, you have Roki Sasaki, who they look at as a project. And I watched his start, the other night. It wasn't great, but this is something we've seen from him, throughout the spring where, he loses command of the fastball. If people aren't biting on the splitter and they're not swinging and missing, he's going to have some issues. So that's going to be something they have to work through. How many innings does Shohei Ohtani pitch this year? I'm thinking 50, maybe 60, because you don't want to rush him back, and he's so valuable to you at the plate. You honestly can't even think about him in the rotation as of right now. Tyler Glasnow is as nasty as you're going to get as far as starting pitchers in Major League Baseball. Still has never pitched more than 125 innings in a season. They're not expecting Clayton Kershaw till, end of June, early July, maybe, right? And their best starter from last year was Gavin Stone, who's not going to pitch this year. Dustin May and Tony Gonsolin, both of those guys were out last year, and so you don't know what you have there. Yeah, they have names. Yeah, they have depth, but how do you get yourself to October if there aren't those definitive answers in that rotation? That's where I look at it and say, that's how I have a hard time saying 116. Because then so many things have to go right to win 116 games. And as you know from playing the game for a long time, and I know from writing about the game for a long time, baseball is baseball, and when you least expect it, something's going to go wrong.
100%, man. And that's where I completely agree with you. Let's say we're using in the rotation, let's use those names you mentioned, Yamamoto and Snell as the staples. So that leaves in a starting rotation 3 question marks. Well, I feel like we just used 8 names as like other potential question marks. And you're absolutely right. Tyler Glasnow. Everybody loves Tyler Glasnow. Incredible human, incredible pitcher, but we have to look at what the statistics say. And he hasn't pitched that many innings in his career in a season. Hasn't pitched 150 innings. So what does that leave you? Well, let's say something happens. Let's say he's, something happens to him, or God forbid there's an injury that comes up. Well, guess who's coming back in June or July? Clayton Kershaw. What are you going to get from him? He's not the same pitcher anymore. Well, guess who's also supposed to be coming back right around then? Shohei Ohtani. He's not ready yet. Let's wait till October. Okay, Bobby Miller was a top prospect in baseball, struggled last year. Maybe he's better now. The guy throws 1,000,000 miles an hour with nasty stuff. Maybe he's figured that out. Maybe Roki Sasaki figures it out. Emmett Sheehan. There's like Tony Gonsolin. There's so many, in my opinion, answers to these question marks that it's like, how are you this deep? And to me, that's what, and I don't know, Russ. I don't know if they're going to get to 116. If I had to pick right now, I would say probably not. But one thing I can promise you, you can't go 162-0 without going 5-0. And that's where the Dodgers are at right now.
There you go. There you go. I have a pick for 105. We've hit the NL East, we've hit the NL West, but I think we should talk about the NL Central because that could end up being maybe the most competitive division in baseball. We talk more about the NL Central coming up next.
Girls' night.
Well, remember that place we got burritos from last time?
No, but with Ring, I can find it. Food delivery?
Nice.
There it is.
Wow, this really makes you look smart.
Thanks.
With Ring, you can type it and find it.
This year, I'm trying to ace my college bets on FanDuel. So I'm here with somebody smarter than any professor I ever had. What's up, Chuck GPT?
What's up, Chuck IRL?
What do you think about this parlay?
It's great, but why don't you use me for something you really need help with?
What does Charles Barkley really need help with?
Hundreds of results found.
Uh-oh.
Pronouncing alma mater.
What?
Remembering that there's no East Virginia. Conflict resolution. Free throw percentage.
New customers bet $5 to get $200 in bonus bets if you win. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook.
Learning the players' names.
Hate is loud. It gets clicks. It gets attention. Hate, however, is actually quite small. But love. Love is the majority. Love fills our hearts, our lives, our everyday.
Scan this QR code to join FanZone, the ultimate online forum for sports fans. Tell us what you think about what you see on TV, online, and streaming. Your voice can help shape the future of sportscasting and much more. Join FanZone today.
Welcome back to FanDuel Sports Network live as you look at Stan the Man, Stan Musial, as the Angels take on the St. Louis Cardinals tonight. Catch that one on FanDuel Sports Midwest. And as always, watching your local team is easier than ever with FanDuel Sports Network. If we're part of your cable or satellite package, you're good to go. Just check your TV lineup. Prefer to stream? Use your TV provider login on the FanDuel Sports Network app. No cable, no problem. Subscribe to the app with a monthly, seasonal, or annual plan. You can even stream your team on Prime Video with an add-on subscription. Availability varies by region. Don't miss a pitch. Check GetMyHomeTeam.com now. See if FanDuel Sports Network is in your area. Russ Dorsey, Ben Verlander here with you on FanDuel Sports Network Live. Ben, we haven't talked about the NL Central, and we brought in the folks with the Cardinals there. The Cardinals actually off to a red-hot start, sweeping the Minnesota Twins. And a big part of that, your boy Lars Nootbaar had a monster series. 4 hits, a homer, 4 RBIs. Nolan Arenado, you didn't know if he would be on this roster on opening day. Well, he was. Went 5 for 11 with a homer. Look at that OPS. That's getting it done. Eric Fetty, after coming over from the Chicago White Sox, didn't have a great second half with the Cardinals last year, getting himself off to a good start. But, Ben, let's talk about the guy there in the middle, Lars Nootbaar. You look at a Cardinals team that has made some adjustments. He started to get a little bit younger. And Lars Nootbaar has always been a guy that is really toolsy. I'll use a baseball word that we know and love. Toolsy, can do a lot of different things on the diamond. Is this the year we see the Lars Nootbaar breakout?
You know, Lars is an interesting guy because I don't think your average baseball fan that tunes in to watch baseball would look at Lars and say, that's the Cardinals go as Lars Nootbaar goes. And you know what? I get that. You know, the Cardinals go as Nolan Arenado and Wilson Contreras go. And, you know, we'll figure it out from there. Well, I think you mentioned it earlier, Russ, earlier today when you and I were just talking ball, just two guys talking ball. Look, the Cardinals, Lars Nootbaar gets hurt and Cardinals really struggle at that point. And then Lars comes back and it's kind of like a shot in the arm for this team. And then they start playing better. And all of a sudden it's like, wait, is Lars Nootbaar a guy? And I'm here to tell you, Lars Nootbaar is a guy, Russ. And I think you agree with me. This guy's an absolute stud, whether you're talking about the energy that he brings to the field, whether you're talking about what he brings to the Cardinals offense itself. And I got some numbers to back it up for you. This isn't just a guy that I think is like, hey, let me go look at his numbers and tell you how good he is. Well, his stats won't jump out at you. But what does jump out to me is his advanced analytics over the past couple of years. And last season, Lars Nootbaar ranked the top 12% in all of baseball in chase percentage, hard hit percentage, average exit velocity, and despite having an OPS that's not all that shabby in a 758, I think his numbers speak for itself in terms of what I think his possibility is. Lars Nootbaar's advanced analytics jump off the page at you. So I think he's absolutely due for a breakout year. We're seeing it to start the year. I was high on Lars Nootbaar, a good start, but again, it's not even April yet, quite yet. I think Lars is huge for this team. And I think if Arenado and Wilson Contreras can do what they've done over the course of their career, then all of a sudden you have a breakout year from Lars Nootbaar. It's all of a sudden, wait a second, we weren't talking about the Cardinals. Maybe we should have been.
Yeah, you're going to need some of these guys, after, moving on from Paul Goldschmidt and maybe moving on from Nolan Arenado as the season goes. You're going to need some other guys to get some things going and have some production in that lineup. And Lars Nootbaar could definitely be one of those guys. And, the team that wasn't exactly productive, the Milwaukee Brewers, who had a very tough series in the Bronx against the Yankees. And then we talked about the torpedo bats, all the runs scored for the Yankees in that series. Now, the Brewers did play today, and things still have not gone well. They've now allowed 17 homers on the year, 21 walks, a team ERA of 12.27. And Ben, look, once again, we're going to say it a lot on this show today because it's the first weekend of baseball. It is very early, but you look at this Brewers staff, and obviously led by Freddie Peralta. You have Brendan Woodruff who's working his way back, after missing all of last year. You have a young bullpen after trading Devin Williams. And you have a lineup that has a lot of guys in it that, are solid names, and they made it back to the postseason last year in Pat Murphy's first year. But you do wonder sometimes, do they have enough in terms of their pitching? And do they have enough offense after Willy Adames leaves and goes to the San Francisco Giants? The year didn't really start well for them offensively. Jackson Chourio, who I think is an absolute stud, 10 strikeouts in his first 19 plate appearances. He's kind of scuffling at the plate. Baseball's hard, so I expect him to get things turned around. But do you think they have enough offense after what Willy Adames meant to them? Christian Yelich, if he's healthy, he's one of the better players in the big leagues. But sometimes it just feels like they're like one injury away from saying, I don't know what the Brewers have.
Yeah, this team has some issues. And first off, can we shout out our graphics guy for flat bruise there at the top of that graphic? Just absolutely incredible. And can we pour out a flat brew for Nestor Cortez, who in his first start, Russ, as not a New York Yankee, his first start leaving the Yankees and going to the Brewers, he has to face his former team, and the first 3 pitches he throws are over the fence for a homer. Just absolutely brutal. So I look at this team and I think to myself, where are the wins going to come from? And what I'm going to tell you is that I did the same thing last year. So I'm done not believing in the Brewers. They're going to figure it out. They always do. It's fascinating. But when it comes to this specific team, I mean, obviously they have pitching issues. You lose your closer in Devin Williams. At some point, these moves catch up to you. Josh Hader out the door with a head scratcher of a move a few years ago. Devin Williams now. You had the best back end of the bullpen in baseball. Now they're both gone. Your shortstop, as you mentioned, Willy Adames, gone. We're both high on Jackson Chourio and other guys in this lineup, but at a certain point, when you keep losing your cornerstone players, it has to catch up with you. And I have no other way than to believe that this is the year that happens. You're missing your shortstop. That was your 3-hole hitter, provided the thump in your lineup. You lose Corbin Burnes. I know this isn't the first year, but just another name out the door. You lose your ace. You lose the back end of your bullpen. You lose your shortstop. All of a sudden, to me, I can't predict this Brewers team to win the NL Central. I just can't. What say you? What do you think?
Yeah, I'm with you. And I look at the division as a whole. And, you know, to the Brewers' credit, they proved a lot of people wrong last year, winning 93 games, getting back to the postseason. But this year, I look at it and I say, they're not the most talented team in the division. I'd say that's probably the Chicago Cubs, or depending on how you feel about the Cincinnati Reds, that are young and athletic and hungry. And, you know, obviously Ellie De La Cruz is one of the most electric players in the game, a guy that I love, and I know you love, Matt McClain. 2 years ago, he was the best player on a Reds team that everybody thought was about to hit that next step in their development. Obviously hurt last year with the shoulder injury, misses the entire year, but has come back. 2 homers. I'm sorry, one of those homers, Ben, came off of your beloved brother, Justin, but at least it was to a stud in Matt McClain. But I look at this division, man, and I'm looking at the Cubs and I'm looking at the Reds, and I think those are the 2 teams that are probably going to lead this thing as we make our way through the season.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. When I look at this division to start the year, I can't disagree. The Chicago Cubs, I think, have the most talent in the division. I think the Cincinnati Reds have the highest ceiling in the division. So it's going to be this interesting battle of like, and I was a believer in the Reds last year, and it didn't work out well for me. I think I was maybe a year early, but they did end up dealing with McClain injuries and Noelvi Marte suspension, and a lot happened. Bring in Tito Francona, who his first year in Boston wins the World Series. His first year in Cleveland, the team improves by like 30 games. So he's a manager that, in my opinion, is maybe the best of all time at getting the best out of his team on the field. So with all that talent that he's dealing with, I think this team and the Cincinnati Reds has every bit the opportunity to go out and beat a Chicago Cubs team that right now I do believe is more talented. You have a Kyle Tucker on the team. You traded for him. He's a top player in the game of baseball. The Reds don't have that. You could argue Ellie De La Cruz, and I think this year he will push for an NL MVP award potentially, but he's just blossoming, right? Kyle Tucker is here. You know what you're getting with him. He's a 30-30 guy. He's a great outfielder. The Reds, it's all about potential, right? What could you get? And that potential could be a playoff team. That could be NL Central champs. You could just as easily tell me at the end of the year the Reds are going to finish in 4th, and I wouldn't be completely shocked. So ceiling the highest for the Reds, Cubs the most talented. This division, in my opinion, might not be the best top to bottom in terms of the best teams, but they could all be close when all is said and done. And this could be a really good race.
Well, Ben, a guy that used to play in the NL Central, you just mentioned him earlier, Corbin Burnes, who makes his debut for the Arizona Diamondbacks against the New York Yankees tomorrow. That should be a fun one. We preview that matchup coming up next.
FanDuel held a shooting contest to promote its new MySpend tool. MySpend makes it easy to view your deposit and bet history all in one place. Because betting without knowing how much you're spending is like shooting in the dark. See the whole picture. Make FanDuel's MySpend tool part of your system and stop shooting in the dark.
Where's that game we always play?
I don't know, but with Ring, I can find it.
Board game.
Oh, man.
If I may, search raccoons.
There's a lot of results. Oh, look, the masquerade party. What a party.
Girl, you have a raccoon problem.
With Ring, you can type it and find it.
Your toe chains are a little loose. Could spark a wildfire.
Thanks a lot.
Anytime. You should check out SmokeyBear.com. They've got a bunch of tips on wildfire prevention.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Meet Jonathan Thompson, an award-winning international travel writer on a mission to discover the world's most dynamic, adrenaline-fueled destinations. From once-in-a-lifetime outdoor adventures to local traditions and cultures, Jonathan will immerse you in the most vibrant metropolitan areas. Elevate your senses, ignite your wanderlust, and let the journey begin as he explores the world's best adventure cities.
You care for the house, the kids, and our future. My Shiro's day is never done. So let's save a little more now so we can create the retirement we want. A free 3-minute online chat can give us the personalized tips we need. Visit asiaretirement.org.
Scan this QR code to join FanZone, the ultimate online forum for sports fans. Tell us what you think about what you see on TV, online, and streaming. Your voice can help shape the future of sportscasting and much more. Join FanZone today.
Welcome back to FanDuel Sports Network Live. Watching your local team is easier than ever with FanDuel Sports Network. If we're part of your local cable or satellite packages, you're good to go. Just check your TV lineup, prefer to stream. Use your TV provider login on FanDuel Sports Network app. No cable, no problem. Subscribe to the app with monthly, seasonal, or annual plans. You can even stream your team on Prime Video with an add-on subscription. Availability varies by region. Don't miss a pitch. Check getmyhometeam.com now to see if FanDuel Sports Network is in your area. As we welcome you back to FanDuel Sports Network Live, Russ Dorsey, Ben Verlander here with you. Ben, Corbin Burnes was the big fish in terms of starting pitchers this offseason, and he lands with a surprising team, the Arizona Diamondbacks. Now, the D-backs over the years, they've built a strong rotation, and now you add an ace, a former NL Cy Young Award winner, former strikeout leader, to a 6-year, $210 million deal. And I look at that rotation, man, and we've been talking about the postseason a lot today, even though it's early, but you got to have strong starting pitching if you expect to win in October. And now you have a rotation that features Corbin Burnes, and Zach Gallen, Merrill Kelly, Eduardo Rodriguez, Brandon Pfaadt, who they just gave an extension to. And as baseball happens, you lose Jordan Montgomery, who they signed last offseason. And so you look at this D-backs team that also happened to lead the National League in all of Major League Baseball in runs scored. This is a team that we might be sleeping on, man, that could make some noise here this season.
Russ, you just mentioned it. Brandon Pfaadt is a 5 guy for them.
Yeah.
The D-backs aren't in the World Series a couple of years ago, if not for what Brandon Pfaadt was able to do against the Phillies multiple times. I mean, this guy's a stud, and you're plugging him into the 5 spot in your rotation. That's depth. Add a Corbin Burnes to the top of that rotation. I know he didn't get the opening day nod. They pushed him back to this series coming up in a little bit, but he's an ace. He's one of the best pitchers in the game of baseball, and he's an absolute superstar. And as you said, it is a bit of a shock, but the guy wanted to go back closer to home and ends up getting the deal out there with Arizona. So I think it's becoming a theme in the NL West. There's a lot of good teams in the NL West that maybe we're undervaluing a little bit because we don't think they're going to win the division. That may be true, but they're all really talented teams that could be making the playoffs and do some damage in the playoffs. And this Arizona Diamondbacks team has every bit of a chance to get there and do some damage there, specifically with the rotation. Imagine a series. I mentioned it with the Braves. Strider and Chris Sale at the beginning of a series. Give me that. Well, give me Corbin Burnes and Zach Gallen to start off a series as well. That's incredible. Pair that with a really good lineup, and I'm massive Corbin Carroll fan. MVPCC is what I like to call him. And with that rotation, depth in the lineup, man, I love the pickup of Corbin Burnes for the D-backs.
This is going to be a really good team in the National League that doesn't make it to the postseason.
Yes, there is.
One of those teams that's going to be vying for a spot in the postseason, the New York Mets, and their monster pickup this winter, Juan Soto, signing the largest contract in the history of professional sports. Well, he finally made his debut this weekend against the Houston Astros. Ben, I was down there, covering that series, and everything that the New York Mets wanted when you sign Juan Soto, there was just a vibe being on the field. There's a lot of smiles, a lot of, that you feel that energy in the air around the New York Mets right now. And Juan Soto, 3 for 9, a double, a homer, 4 walks, getting on base a ton. He's coming up in big spots for him. I know opening day had a big spot against Josh Hader in the ninth, didn't come through. But the thing about signing a guy like Juan Soto, Ben, is you have that guy for those moments. And he might not come through every time, but you want him up more times than not, because if you don't add him, who knows where that spot comes up in the lineup. And I just think when you add a Juan Soto, a generational talent like that, to a middle of a lineup that was very solid in the second half of last season, they made it all the way to the NLCS, and now you add a guy who was in the World Series in Juan Soto, changes the dynamic of your lineup, changes the dynamic of your organization as a whole. And this Mets team, they could be on the precipice of doing something special in Queens.
100%. You were there, Russ. You were locked in watching the game. I was locked in watching the game on TV, because all eyes in the baseball world, when you hear Josh Hader against Juan Soto, bases loaded into the game, all eyes are on that. And to your point, that's really all you can ask for as a Mets fan. Whatever happens from there happens, right? It's baseball. Juan Soto is not going to bat 1,000 this year, I promise you. But he is going to be really good. Unfortunately for the Mets, he's the only one doing anything at all right now. They did not have a good first series against the Astros. But you can just feel it with Juan Soto in the lineup, the confidence that that team has, that he specifically has. It just feels, it totally changes the feel of the New York Mets, in my opinion. Whether they can pitch well enough is another question. I don't have concerns about the offense, though, Russ. I don't know if you do, but I know they struggled offensively in that first series. I have no concerns there. Juan Soto with Pete Alonso right behind him changes the whole feel. And I still, although they didn't have the most success in that first series, you could still feel it, in my opinion. You could feel how good that lineup is going to be. You have Soto banging balls off the facing of the upper deck. He's going to be incredible. Lindor always comes out of the gates slow. I'm not worried at all about this offense. They will be better this year than they were last year. And Juan Soto is the reason for that. He's every bit worth the money he got.
No, I'm with you. I'm not worried about the New York Mets or their offense. The Houston Astros really, you know as well as anybody, they really know how to pitch down there and really know how to get the most out of their starting pitching. That NL East is going to be crazy this year with the Mets and Phillies and Braves that we've talked about in this show. Going to take one more break here on FanDuel Sports Network Live. Give you some early finals from today. More FanDuel Sports Talk Live coming up next.
Deliveries happen.
Hello? We didn't order that.
Are you sure?
This happens.
Socks. No.
That happens.
Hey, get out of there!
Charlie's up to bat in the pinch.
Oh, let's go!
Home happens. Be there with Ring. Learn more at ring.com.
I love betting on the NBA with FanDuel, especially when I've got the world's greatest basketball mind on my side. What's up, Chuck GPT?
What's up, Chuck IRL?
What do you think about this parlay?
It's great, but why don't you use me for something you really need help with?
What does Charles Barkley really need help with?
Hundreds of results found.
Uh-oh.
Fashion sense, basic math.
What?
Being on time, portion control, conflict resolution, enunciating, free throw percentage.
New customers bet $5 to get $200 in bonus bets if you win. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook.
Eating vegetables.
Scan this QR code to join FanZone, the ultimate online forum for sports fans. Tell us what you think about what you see on TV, online, and streaming. Your voice can help shape the future of sportscasting and much more. Join FanZone today.
Meet Jonathan Thompson, an award-winning international travel writer on a mission to discover the world's most dynamic, adrenaline-fueled destinations. From once-in-a-lifetime outdoor adventures to local traditions and cultures, Jonathan will immerse you in the most vibrant metropolitan areas. Elevate your senses, ignite your wanderlust, and let the journey begin as he explores the world's best adventure cities.
Watching your local team is easier than ever with FanDuel Sports Network. If we're part of your cable or satellite package, you're good to go. Just check your TV lineup. Prefer to stream? Use your TV provider, log in on the FanDuel Sports Network app. No cable, no problem. Subscribe to the app with monthly, seasonal, or annual plans. You can even stream your team on Prime Video with an add-on subscription. Availability varies by region. Don't miss a pitch. Check getmyhometeams.com now. See if FanDuel Sports Network is in your area. Welcoming you back to FanDuel Sports Network Live. Russ Dorsey, Ben Verlander. Been an exciting opening weekend in Major League Baseball. And so we have some early surprises from the first weekend of games. And here are mine, but I'm going to go with the guy there on the end, generational talent in Mookie Betts. 2 homers, 4 RBIs, and OPS near 2,000. And this is amazing. You're talking about a guy that lost 25 pounds due to illness. Didn't even know if he'd be ready to start the season, and hits a go-ahead homer and walk-off on Friday night. Mookie Betts, he's the man.
Mookie Betts is a superstar, Russ. I mean, it's truly unbelievable. He lost 25 pounds, as you said. He was like deathly ill. Didn't play in the Tokyo series, comes back and is able to do this in one of his first games. Like, it's just to go from the outfield to play shortstop, and then to, like, he's a stud of an athlete, a stud of a human being. I'm completely with you. I'm not surprised Mookie put up those numbers, but given the circumstances, it's absolutely insane.
We were both locked in. Those were the things that I had my on. What are your early surprises?
Russ, I almost feel a little bad that you went so positive. To me, I am shocked about this Rafi Devers situation. Yeah. Rafael Devers, we all know it from the offseason. The Red Sox sign Alex Bregman. Then Rafi Devers comes out and says, you know what, third base is my position. I'm not moving. And everybody in the world can see that Bregman's the better defensive third baseman. So why wouldn't they do that? Devers says no. Then he comes back out and says, you know what, I will do it. I'm in a DH. I'll be fine with that. Year starts, and we are just 5 games in, and Rafael Devers is 0 for 19 with 15 strikeouts. If that sounds like a lot, that's because that's the most through 5 games in Major League Baseball history. There's a problem there. We're not concerned about Rafael Devers' swing. The guy rakes. We all know that. But I think he's in his head. The switch from third base to being an everyday DH is a lot. I was a guy that mostly played outfield professionally, but I did have days where I was a designated hitter, and it's tough. And Giancarlo Stanton has spoken out about that. Yordan Alvarez's numbers are way better when he plays outfield. It's tough on you mentally, especially when you're struggling. If I'm going 3 for 4 at the plate, great. I can come back in the dugout, kick my feet up, go hit in the cage when I need to. If I'm 0 for 3 with 3 punch outs, all I can do is think about that. You fixate on it, and that becomes the issue. When you're struggling, you're really struggling, and it just snowballs. And that's what we're seeing now with Rafi Devers. He's not even making contact, Russ. This is bad. 0 for 19, 15 strikeouts to start the year, a Major League Baseball record.
Yeah, not great. And the one thing you talk about with Giancarlo or even Yordan, those guys who've kind of done it for a while. This is brand new to Rafi Devers. And I know that number is jarring. 0 for 19, 15 punchies. But you're talking about a guy that is a great hitter, not a good hitter, a great hitter, and is actually really good at bat to ball, right? Like the strikeouts are never insane with Rafi Devers, and he really just knows how to command the strike zone. So it is something that's pretty jarring and something that you look at and say, yeah, after the way the season started and the spring training started with the things I'm not going to do, and now I have to do it begrudgingly, and, you know, I want to win with this team, which I think Rafi Devers is a good dude, and I think if he had to go back in time and redo that statement early in the spring, he probably would, because it didn't come off the best. And, you know, you have to go back and talk to Alex Cora and Craig Breslow and the powers that be in Boston and smooth things over. But, yeah, like Rafi Devers is such an important part of what the Red Sox do offensively, right? You add in Alex Bregman to go with Jarren Duran and Rafael Devers and some of those young studs that they have there in Boston. I feel like he's going to figure it out. He's always hit in the big leagues. I'm not worried yet. It's a lot of strikeouts, but I'm not worried yet.
One more point on that, Russ. The problem isn't, you know, I know he came back out and said, you know what, I will do it. But we all know what he's thinking. He isn't happy. He does want to play third base. So I do a little bit of this I put on him, and a little bit of this I put on him changing positions, and that's tough to do being an everyday DH. But I don't think the way he's handled this has been the correct way to go about it. You hear he was going to potentially ask for a trade. He wanted to play third base. He didn't want to move. I don't love the way he handled all that, and I know he eventually said the right things, but we're not dumb. We all know how he feels, you know?
I'm really curious to ask you about something, Ben. I was watching Roki Sasaki start this past weekend, and I see a guy that kind of looked like the moment happened to be too big, right? He pitched in Japan, and you think that's a monster moment for him, but he somehow looked comfortable in that moment. His first start in the stateside at Dodger Stadium. You have all the fanfare of winning the World Series champion, ring night the night before. An inning and 2/3, 3 hits, 2 runs, 4 walks, 2 strikeouts through 61 pitches. It felt like a lot more than that. And I think this is one of the things to watch as we go on here. You're talking about a guy in Roki Sasaki that signs with the Dodgers, could have signed with any team. And I do think one of the benefits for him of signing with the Dodgers is if he signs anywhere else, he's going to be expected to be the man from day one. And if it goes like this, like it went in his first stateside start, you're probably looking around as if you're a staff and a fan base like, oh man, this is the guy that we were putting all our hopes and dreams on. I am curious to see, how the fastball command continues as we go, because that was the one thing watching him during spring training, talking to people there in Dodgers camp, is if the fastball command is on, the splitty that is so nasty plays up even more. But every once in a while, he can lose the strike zone. And when those things snowball on you as a pitcher in his first year in the big leagues, in the States, against really talented hitters, the most talented hitters in the world, that can start to affect you.
100%. And, for me, command wasn't an issue for Roki Sasaki in Japan. And I'm not talking about the Tokyo series. It was. I'm talking about in NPB. Command wasn't a big issue for him. So I don't worry about Roki Sasaki. I think the big thing right now is mentally. He's coming over to Major League Baseball, to a different country where there's a language barrier. He doesn't speak the native language. He's trying to figure out how to pitch with a new baseball, might I add, a different baseball, a different mound, and the biggest market, maybe the second biggest market in all of baseball, 1 or 2. And the kid is 23 years old. The stuff plays, Russ. I'd rather that. The stuff plays. Next thing you know, you just got to get this in shape. I think that'll come around. There were talks from his former manager that he was a little worried about him maybe going to a big market and how that would affect him mentally and emotionally. Well, look, that might be true, but it's going to take time. The kid's 23. I can't imagine at 23 years old going over to Japan, to a different country where I don't know anybody, I don't know how to speak their language, and being told, okay, you're supposed to be the guy here, figure it out. It's not the case. It's going to take some time. The stuff plays. He throws 100 with nasty stuff. He's going to be really, really good in this league. Is that his next start? Is that a month? Is that even this year? I don't know. But I do know he's going to be really good. Give the kid some time. Allow him to adjust to everything that's new in his life.
He's going to have to figure it out quick because his next scheduled start is against the Philadelphia Phillies at the bank. So that might be a tough one. We're actually out of time here on FanDuel Sports Network Live. Ben, this was fun. We got to do it again, man.
Let's run it back, baby.
Everybody, enjoy the games tonight. We will see you again soon.
Deliveries happen.
Hello? We didn't order that.
Are you sure?
This happens.
Sucks. No.
That happens.
Hey, get out of there.
Charlie's up to bat in the pinch.
Oh, let's go.
Home happens. Be there with Ring. Learn more at ring.com.
I love betting on the NBA with FanDuel, especially when I've got the world's greatest basketball mind on my side. What's up, Chuck GPT?
What's up, Chuck IRL?
What do you think about this parlay?
It's great. But why don't you use me for something you really need help with?
What does Charles Barkley really need help with?
Hundreds of results found.
Uh-oh.
Fashion sense, basic math.
What?
Being on time, portion control, conflict resolution, enunciating, free throw percentage.
New customers bet $5 to get $200 in bonus bets if you win. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook.
Eating vegetables.
Scan this QR code to join FanZone, the ultimate online forum for sports fans. Tell us what you think about what you see on TV, online, and streaming. Your voice can help shape the future of sportscasting and much more. Join FanZone today.